Ladies, gentlemen, and monsters of all ages, in the realm of Monster Hunter, there are tons of different experiences available to be had, depending on what flavor of gameplay you're looking for. Whether it be the more standard mainline games, the slight departures that are still mainline, like Generations or Rise and Sunbreak, which were a bit more unique, or things that are even more unique departures, like the Stories series, or if you're someone who prefers the ability to game on a portable or mobile device. Everyone has different preferences, but one of the newest Monster Hunter projects in development falls within the last category there, which is Monster Hunter Outlanders. This game was announced just over a year ago. They revealed some base mechanical info, but then went silent for quite a while before having a playable demo available at Tokyo Game Show back in September of 2025, which I did talk with you guys about when it happened. That, however, was around 2.5 months ago, and there have been rumblings about this game over this period of time, so basically I just want to catch you up on everything that's going on surrounding Outlanders the last few months, including its closed beta. That's the big main thing going on for the game. They held a closed beta period at the end of November into the start of December. It was 1 week long, and only some people got to actually partake in it, and we didn't, unfortunately, but they got to test out the game, give feedback, which the developers are planning to make changes based around, and this beta also had confidentiality agreements involved, so even if we had played it, we wouldn't be able to tell you about it, meaning no information is allowed to come from any of the players in the beta themselves, and no gameplay footage either, especially. That means a lot of the actual gameplay footage you'll be seeing at the start of this video, at least, is either from trailers or from the Tokyo Game Show demo, but the developers did have some new information for us over this period of time, as well as revealing more information about the game just in general. When the closed beta was starting, they released the Outlanders Adventure Guide to everyone, not just to the people in the beta. It's public, so everyone can see this. Outlanders is where the game itself takes place, and this is essentially an introduction to how combat actually works and a lot of the mechanics of the game too. All characters, including the protagonist who can change weapons, have 3 classes assigned to them, which are Assault, Disruptor, or Support. The class that your character or protagonist has will define some of their moveset that's available, like the Adventurer ultimate skill, the Buddy ultimate skill, and the Co-op skills, which are all special moves that you can use. They used Longsword as an example of how the controls will actually function in this graphic. The big sword symbol is your main basic attack chain. This combo will build up Spirit Gauge. You can then use Skill 1, which is the symbol bottom left of the main combo, to perform the Spirit combo itself and go up in Spirit Gauge level. Skill 2, which is the symbol up and left of the main combo button, is where you access your parries, tap for Foresight Slash after an attack, or hold for EI Spirit Slash for release when the attack is about to hit you. When you are at red Spirit Gauge, you can use Skill 3, which is the symbol directly above the main combo button, and that will perform Spirit Thrust into Spirit Helmbreaker. And that means that Longsword, a weapon with quite a bit of attack and combo variations, does actually have access to the majority of its moveset, despite being redesigned for use on a mobile device. And that is awesome to see, as it shows that they are really trying to recreate the feeling of Monster Hunter combat, rather than just like visually looking similar to Monster Hunter while not playing quite the same way. That said, there's quite a bit more to this too with this expanded graphic with a bunch of non-English text, so to translate the other useful information here, the symbols on the main control area that we haven't talked about yet are the dodge roll in the bottom right, as you might expect from the symbol, but if you time the dodge roll correctly, you will get a perfect dodge that can be followed up into special attack animations, sort of like Adept style from Generations. As well, if you get hit by an attack, you can hit the evade button to stand up earlier. Then above that is a button that lets you sheath or unsheath your weapon. The blue skill symbol on the left here is the Adventurer Ultimate, which works sort of like Hunter Arts in Generations as well. You charge it up through combat, then unleash it when it's ready. The other 2 blue symbols are the Follower Ultimate skill and the Co-op skill, which both work similarly, requiring buildup and then unleashing. The Co-op skill, though, specifically has some extra mechanics attached. It is a shared energy pool across all hunters on the quest, and once it is activated by one player, the rest have to time their hits on the same body part to actually successfully complete the attack. The crosshair symbol above this area is the lock-on UI. You can tap it to lock onto a monster in a more general sense, or you can hold it down and pop up a radial menu, which you can see on the top right of the screen here. This lets you target specific body spots like the right leg, the left leg, the right wing, the left wing, the head, or the tail. For Pookie Pookie is the example used in this image, so it's quite a lot of detailed choice with your lock-on, which I appreciate for the style of gameplay, where you don't really have much control over your camera. Bottom left side of the screen is the joystick, simple enough, move it around and that's your movement. There is a potion symbol as well on the screen near the attacks, and this is actually a use recommended item button. It will situationally try to offer the most relevant item, the examples given being flash bombs and potions, but you can also manually select an item by holding the symbol down and picking it yourself. Then the final thing on here is the central UI, which is pretty straightforward. Yellow bar is stamina, green bar is health, third bar, at least in this case for this weapon, is Spirit Gauge, but that would be replaced with whatever your weapon might be using instead. Moving on, we have other mechanical parts of the game too, including equipment forging, of course. Forging uses monster parts and materials as you would hope to see, but it is of course unclear how grindy this will be as of this moment from this image alone. One important thing to note is that sharpness works differently in Outlanders. Instead of being a bar that depletes during combat, there is no sharpening mechanic at all. Instead, a weapon just is the sharpness that it is when you craft it. You can see it in the crafting menu, and they've said that it determines how easily your attacks bounce off, with no mention of it affecting damage. So I'm assuming this means that there is no damage modifier based on sharpness in Outlanders, and that is purely a whether you bounce or don't bounce based on attacking specific monster parts, but we don't know that yet for sure. That's just the way I'm interpreting this wording. There will also be decorations in the game, and the example screen shown shows some typical Monster Hunter skills being applied to the build itself. We don't know what comes from decorations because there's no actual decoration slotted in. This is just the UI for that. They've also shown that there is a layered armor system, so you can change yourself visually without affecting your stats, but this screen does not show weapons being changeable, so that's worth noting here too. Then we get into the more controversial side of the game, the stuff that makes it vary just a little bit more from the classic Monster Hunter formula, and some people love that it's got a new direction and a fresh take and is doing new things. Other people definitely not quite as big of a fan. I personally am withholding proper judgment until I can play it for myself, but everyone is of course free to their own opinion. That said, the crafting in this game, you can do basic survival game type things like chopping down trees to collect wood, and then you can essentially do something that's right out of Wild Hearts, a hunting genre game that I thoroughly enjoyed personally despite its problems and issues, and it's building things using these materials, not just like crafting consumables like you normally would in Monster Hunter, but you can actually build like platforms that shoot you up into the air to launch your glider forward, catapults that fire your hunter forward at speed, zip lines to travel between set points faster, tents, item boxes, barbecue spits, and much more too are all craftable out in the field. They've also shown consumable crafting here with a fairly standard looking set of stuff from what we can currently see, including confirmation of both hot and cool drinks, which mostly just means that there will be areas that require them. We get a glimpse at a map showing loads of monsters all on it at the same time, and if you are wondering, the multicolored Great Jagras in the top right is called a Radiant Great Jagras. That is the sort of special mystery monster type that is at the core of this game, and we have seen radiant versions of various monsters so far. As your hunter progresses, the difficulty of monsters in the area will rise as well, and we've also had a monster fighting arena confirmed for more set condition quests as well. There are also little like mini game side activities to complete in the game, including Zen Stone Balance, which has you adjust stones to reach the target height, Winged Treasure Hunt, where you are essentially trying to force a winged drake to drop treasure by emptying its stamina bar while you're hanging off of it, and then Egg Heist Challenge, which is like a stealth minigame egg quest, and this sounds quite neat to me personally. Zen Stone Balance is alright, the other two are proper Monster Hunter-y feeling in my opinion though. Then the final thing that was revealed in this press release is a note about there being lots of endemic life in the game, which you can capture to complete research objectives for people who enjoy that side of Monster Hunter. During the beta period itself, they also had some more proper public reveals for some characters that we have seen a bit of visuals for before, as well as revealing the name of a proper map area too. The characters were Midori, the longsword using assault class character who builds Spirit Gauge a little bit faster with some of her skills than a regular longsword user, and the developers have stated that this is actually their favorite character they've made so far. Then she also has her assault type Palico companion as well. Then there was Uyang Varen, a lance using assault class character whose name I hopefully pronounced at least somewhat correctly, and he is noted to have the impetus mechanic, which builds up after using certain skills and then makes his thrust deal more damage, so it's an interesting gauge build-up mechanic for Lance. And then he also has his assault type Palico Lucky, who has a cute little mustache. Then we had Pepper, the heavy bowgun using Disruptor class character, and her uniqueness is that some skills throw her into the air, and she can rapid fire while airborne. And then she also has a companion pal named Hoppy. As for the map, the desert area of Outlanders is going to be called the Searing Plains. Extreme temperature shifts between day and night, meaning like classic Monster Hunter deserts, it might be a cool drink during the day, hot drink during the night type of desert. There are mirages and sandstorms and are very sparsely placed oases, how do you say that word plurally? Oases, and there are areas that are frequently fought over by monsters because of how rare the water sources are, so these oases are like a hotbed for fighting. Then the closed beta ended in early December, and a little bit after that we got our final bit of information, which is just a sort of developer update about the beta, information they learned and what they're going to do with it. They're going to change parts of monster attacks and behavior, they're going to improve the way that the camera works and the way that movement feels for certain characters, as well as optimizing the UI and display more than they have, which I imagine is just sort of a balancing act of wanting buttons to be big enough that they can be reliably input by people with hands, but also not take up too much of the visual space and block the actual gameplay either. For system adjustments, they're going to keep adjusting the balance of of the game. Obviously, we don't know what the balance was like in the beta because it was confidential, but it makes sense that they would continue adjusting balance pretty much until right before they're ready to ship. It generally, though, is a good thing to hear that they are willing to change things like that based on feedback. There is also mention of improving the ways that you gather materials and the actual objectives for quests, as well as wanting to improve the open world feeling of the map, and I'm interpreting this line here as them saying that they're working on some sort of way to make these side activities and puzzles actually help you out in progression in some way, shape, or form, but that could be a bit incorrect, obviously, as I don't have beta-related information. I'm just sort of inferring based on these lines here. They're also going to improve graphics and sound in the game in general, and I found it funny that they said the reason for this, at least partially, was to make characters more appealing. They've committed to improving performance as well, and this is one of my main concerns for the game, is it will probably run well on most up-to-date devices, but anything that's even a little bit behind the most current generation of phones, with the way that this game looks, the pace of it, the effects, I'm unsure how it would handle them. And they've mentioned that there are some issues that they're going to be working on with this, so hopefully it does get sorted out quite nicely. Then finally, they mentioned that there is, of course, more content to be added to Outlanders as well, including more monsters and such as you might expect, but also they specifically pointed out they are developing new weapon types for use in the game, as currently there are only 6, and they're also making adventurers who would then use these weapon types too. All that really says, though, is that there's a very high chance, almost guaranteed, of there being more than 6 weapons at the actual launch of the game, but we don't know how many more than that it will be. It probably won't be the full suite of 14 weapons, at least not immediately at launch, but it will be a good chunk of them from what it seems. That then pretty much does it for today, everyone. A roundup of the new information we've gotten around Monster Hunter Outlanders since the Tokyo Game Show, including detailed explanations of how the controls will function, showing some dedication to including as much of the proper moveset of these weapons as possible, while also of course having their own variations and flares to make the combat unique to Outlanders. Generally speaking, my impressions so far, without playing it myself yet, are that it feels very intriguing as a mobile phone version of a Monster Hunter game, but there are still a lot of unknowns with the game. We don't know exactly how the monetization will work, we don't know how grindy it will be, which isn't necessarily an inherently bad thing even if it is grindy, unless there's stuff like microtransactions to skip progression. And I'm not saying that there will be stuff like that, but that is a personal concern of mine for mobile games, and so basically I'm staying cautiously optimistic. I'm very interested in the actual mechanics of the game. The actual raw gameplay looks fun to me, but I don't want to get my hopes up too high until we have the crucial information about the monetization. I hope you've all enjoyed this then, and let me know your own thoughts about Monster Hunter Outlanders down in the comments below. Like if you liked the video, subscribe with the notification bell for more, and most importantly, ladies and gentlemen, until next time, stay sweet.
Josh, Cotton, and Hollow with the videos, dropping the humor like a hammer on your tippy toes, bringing entertainment on a daily arrangement to take our insanity and turn it into entertainment. Yes, I said entertainment twice, to reiterate that it is nice to look into your faces on a mostly daily basis when you let us in your homes to make the whole world our stage. Goodbye.